Okay, so this is episode number 11, and we are going to connect with my good friend and brother, Will Guillermo, and he's ready to go. So here we go. Admit.
Vamos a ver.
William.
Hola, ¿me escuchás?
¿Qué haces, Will? Will, maestro, titán.
Vos sos el tipo de Burlington, me parece familiar.
Sí, soy el mismo, pero bueno, un poco más flaco. Así perdí más o menos medio pound, así que bueno, el mismo pero más flaco y más viejo, ¿no? Más viejo, una semana o 2 semanas más viejo. Así
Claro,
que bueno,
claro.
yo veo que te creció un poco el pelo.
Sí, como sobre las orejas, ¿no? Em, pero bueno, contame, ¿cómo estás? ¿Cómo va todo?
Bien, acá estamos con lluvia, así que si se corta es porque tuvimos algún thunder, pero bueno, tratando de haciéndole el aguante a Dustin. Ahí vi que has donado en GoFundMe, so if you're watching this, you want to help Dustin, go to GoFundMe, and we can leave a link on the description below, so you can go and donate some money. Le robaron en la Ciudad de México y perdió como $7,000 en equipo, así que bueno, estamos todos juntando algo de dinero. Guillermo donó, yo doné, y si lo querés a Dustin, doná ahí lo que puedas, $5, lo que puedas, lo va a ayudar, así que eso.
Todo suma, entonces.
Todo suma.
Seguimos adelante, o sería sigamos adelante. ¿Cuál sería mejor?
Seguimos adelante,
Seguimos, ok, eso es lo que pensé, pero a veces.
Seguimos. Las dos funcionan, pero seguimos es más argentino, vamos a decir, ¿no? Sigamos quizás es más México, España, pero argentinos seguimos adelante.
Pues claro, tío, seguimos adelante. Pero bueno, tengo una historia para contarse. Hace un par de días fui a la gasolinera en el centro del pueblo donde vivo yo. Y para que sepas, en Nueva Jersey está prohibido llenar el tanque de tu auto por ti mismo, así que necesitas el apoyo, vamos a decir, de un empleado. Así que me acercó un chabón, el empleado, y empezamos a charlar un poquito. Él me preguntó como qué onda, todo bien, pero obviamente en inglés. Y charlamos, y después él me dijo que se acabó de mudar de Honduras a Nueva Jersey hace un par de meses nada más. Y de repente pensé como, es una buena oportunidad para flashear un poco de mi alma argentino, vamos a decir. Así que como, contame, ¿cómo es el Honduras? No lo conozco muy bien, o algo así. Y como, wow, ¿hablas español? ¿De dónde eres? Y como, no, soy yanqui, pero viví en Argentina por unos meses y se me pegó el acento y todo eso, como, wow, hablas perfectamente, no lo puedo creer. Ahora somos como amigos, pero porque tenés que entender que acá donde vivo yo no hay mucha gente, casi nadie habla español. O sea,
Lo mismo acá.
sí, no es muy común.
New Hampshire, no.
Y, y, no sé, también como un pelirrojo, un colorado, es como mucho menos más probable. Así que cada vez que puedo eh, usar español con alguien, pero como de una manera eh, o como una sorpresa, es, cómo me ceba me ceban esos momentos, porque como, wow, no, ¿en serio? Eh, y, pero lo peor es cuando hablo mal y lo noto, es como, no, yo debería haber dicho otra cosa después, como mucho más tarde en el día, cuando volví a mi casa o lo que sea, y como, no, eso eh, fue una buena oportunidad de usar ese dicho o un fardo o algo así. Pero de todos modos, siempre es muy chistoso. Y ahora tengo un amigo de Honduras, no sé cómo se llama a alguien de
Hondureño.
hondureño, ok,
Hondureño.
un nuevo amigo hondureño. Y bueno, él piensa que soy bien
Argentino.
argento, o argentino, sí. Así que
Sí,
bueno,
una historia que podés contar que a mí de vez en cuando la digo para ver la reacción de la gente distinta. Te la tiro así como un tip. Ah, vos podés decir que no, que vos naciste en la Argentina y viviste varios años en la Argentina, pero bueno, tus padres son estadounidenses y después volviste a Estados Unidos, pero bueno, vos sos argentino de nacimiento, vamos a decir, ¿no? Pero bueno, esa es una de las historias que podés contar. Y otra historia es, no, mis padres son argentinos, yo soy argentino, nací en Argentina, pero vine a los 8 años. Una de las dos versiones, vamos a decir, ¿no?
claro,
Ver
claro.
la reacción de la gente. Y después, de última, siempre puedes decir, no, I was just joking, I was actually born in it. So, whatever
Como
version.
claro.
A veces yo digo eso, no, yo soy estadounidense, nací en Estados Unidos, pero bueno, me crié en Argentina. Ahora volví a Estados Unidos, pero y la dejo ahí a veces, ¿no? A veces no, ni siquiera la aclaro en una fiesta cuando hay gente que sé que no voy a volver a ver.
Eh, claro, pero eso sería como más presión para hablar súper bien.
Claro, sí. No,
Eh,
en realidad no, porque si vos decís que vos naciste en Argentina, pero te fuiste a los 6 años, en
claro.
realidad no, hablás porque tus padres son argentinos, pero en realidad te criaste en Estados Unidos, entonces,
Pero también la parte que casi cada persona no puede entender, o sea, que es lo más interesante para ellos, es como, ¿aprendiste todo en 5 meses en Argentina? Y es como, no, llevo años y años estudiando español en la secundaria, en el aula, en la universidad acá en Estados Unidos y todo eso. Pero es muy chistoso, como, ¿aprendiste el idioma en 5 meses? Listo. Y como, sí, soy súper inteligente y claro,
o
un
si no
idioma
podés decir,
muy fácil, ¿eh?
si no podés tirar dos historias, una podés decir historia A, podés decir, sí, no, la verdad que en 5 meses aprendí todo haciendo la clase de Ruben and Dustin, y
Ah,
si esa es una mentira que vos
hace
decís,
clic.
claro. Y si no, puedes decir, no, porque mi tío es científico y él fabricó una pastilla que se llama Español Max. Y eso es una píldora que uno la toma y en 8 horas uno... Just kidding.
Se convirtió el chip y listo, mi cerebro
Ver la
como,
reacción de la gente, ¿no? Porque a veces... Porque la gente a veces cuando uno cuenta esa sanata, que se dice sanata, ese chamullo, cuando uno cuenta ese tipo de sanatas, al principio te empiezan a creer, se quedan. y después entiende que no, los está chamullando, pero hay una reacción que está buena de ver. Yo, por ejemplo, no sé si te conté la historia, pero cuando yo me casé con mi mujer y mi papá y mi mamá vinieron a Estados Unidos a verme y a conocerla a ella, cuando se volvían a Buenos Aires, fuimos al aeropuerto en Boston, ¿no? Y mientras pasaron el customs, nosotros todavía los veíamos, ¿no?
Claro.
Y ahí había una pareja, ¿no? Al lado nuestro, al lado de las vallas, y nos empezó a decir, no sé qué me preguntó en español, porque eran argentinos también. Y bueno, y hablé un poco con ellos y después se fueron y mi mujer y yo volvimos al auto para irnos, ¿no? Y mi mujer me preguntó, ¿y quiénes eran esos que te hablaban? ¿No? Y yo le digo, no, lo que pasa es que yo en Argentina soy un actor famoso y bueno, ellos se enteraron por la internet que yo venía, bueno, querían venir a saludarme y bueno, por eso. Y mi mujer se creyó esa historia. Y después a los 2, 3 minutos dije, no, I was just kidding. Pero está bueno ver la reacción. La gente muchas veces es muy incrédula y se cree cualquier verdura que les vendés.
Claro. No, estoy de acuerdo. Eso sería genial, pero no sé, todavía no tengo el nivel para hablar como por unos minutos sin error o algo así. Pero bueno, en algún día eso va a ser la meta. Eh, pero bueno, y una cosita más, es como cada vez que hablo con alguien hispanohablante, es como necesito hablar, o sea, estar muy contento o hablar con mucha energía, porque eso es como, vos sos latina, latino, lo que sea, es como, viví en Argentina y me enamoré de la cultura y todo eso, y como con buenas ondas, y cada persona siempre me responde con la misma energía, digamos. Eso es como, eh, eso es lo que a mí me gusta más que todo en nuestras conversaciones, es como la energía, la pasión, todo eso. Eh, Porque si es como, hablas español, qué bueno, viví en Argentina, como, ese tipo, es como, ¿qué voy a decir? Como, sí, hablo español, pero vamos a volver a inglés, pero bueno, eh, ¿qué más? Tengo unas cosas que quiero preguntarte, o sea, unas preguntas para vos.
Yo te cuento que todos te cuento antes que empiece, te tiro la info para que sepas, pero todo este tiempo tengo una lista gorda hoy, ¿eh?
Okay.
Prepárate porque tengo así, la llené, así que no, te quería avisar para que lo pongas en tu budget. En tu budget, sí.
Okay.
Igual no es que te voy a tratar de ir rápido, no quiero hacerte perder el tiempo. Además, mientras más hablo, más tengo que editar después yo.
Claro,
Pero,
claro, claro.
pero tengo una linda lista. So,
Perfecto, me alegro. Ok, primero, es algo o sea, estaba mirando una serie en Netflix, y también usé los subtítulos, o sea, estaba leyendo los subtítulos, em, y mucha gente dijo algo como, como una respuesta de cómo estás o algo así, como, la pasamos muy bien, o la, ah, sí, como la pasamos muy bien.
ah,
Y no sé si es algo que vos decís mucho,
sí, sí, sí.
pero tiene que ver o se refiere a como la vida, la noche, no sé, como, ayer la pasamos muy bien la noche,
Claro.
o si es algo como en general, como, todo la pasamos muy bien.
Sí, 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 sí.
Porque es algo que escuchaba un montón en Argentina también, o sea, con mucha frecuencia, pero nunca lo digo, y no sé si es algo que debería decir
Sí,
más.
sí, sí, no, de eso te recomiendo que digas más. Yo la uso todo el tiempo con mi papá y mi mamá, que en realidad son casi las únicas personas con las que hablo en español. Hablo también con Elizabeth, que es una amiga de más de 20 años, que ella además es la abogada de la familia, así que se ocupa de todos los temas legales de mis papás.
Okay.
Y bueno, yo también participo con ella. Y ahora Tony, que Tony Montesinos, este argentino, que te
Político.
quería... Sí, hablo con el español. Y no, te quería decir rápido que en New Hampshire nosotros tenemos el 94% de la gente en New Hampshire es gente blanca, vamos a decir, ¿no? Y en donde vivo yo, en New London, es 98%. O sea que yo no tengo oportunidad de hablar, no hay nadie que hable español. Y si hablamos de color de la piel, vamos a decir, por ejemplo, Tony tiene ojos azules, es blanco de ojos azules y yo no tengo ojos azules, pero no soy blanco, vamos a decir, o sea que una cuestión de piel, vamos a decir, no sé cuál es el porcentaje, pero te quiero decir que a mí también es difícil encontrar a alguien para hablar español porque mi mujer no habla español para nada, ¿no?
Claro, claro. Pero eso es como, es una oportunidad para flashear. Eso es el verbo que siempre uso, como
Sí.
eh, ser actor por unos minutos. Como, sí, sí, obvio hablo español. Sí, ¿cómo no? Pero
No,
bueno,
para mí es o el paraíso porque yo justamente quiero aprender inglés, así que a mí me viene perfecto porque mientras más yo hablo español, menos aprendo inglés, vamos a decir, ¿no? Así que, pero no tengo problema porque mi mujer nada, es estadounidense, creció en Estados Unidos y mis hijas están creciendo acá. Yo nunca jamás hablé en español con mis hijas, por ejemplo, ¿no? Así que, bueno, anyway. Volviendo a la palabra pasando, sí, pasando, yo la uso todo el tiempo, se usa todo el tiempo, te aconsejo que la uses más y la palabra pasando, argentinólogo, ahí tiro el gráfico, viene de pasar el tiempo, vamos a decir, ¿no? So
claro.
vos pasás este bloque de tiempo, it will be like spending the time or passing that
Yeah,
block of time,
right,
y viene
passing
de ahí
time.
pasando el tiempo, vamos a decir, ¿no? Entonces, si vos la pasaste bomba, puedes decir, la pasé bomba, o la pasé excelente, o la pasé muy bien, es porque pasaste ese bloque de tiempo, vamos a decir, ¿no? Vamos a decir, consumiste, utilizaste ese bloque de tu tiempo
Sí, sí, sí.
y el resultado fue bomba o muy bueno, muy divertido. Así que de ahí viene pasando, ¿no?
Y algo que está pasando como actualmente sería como la pasamos bien o algo así, como
Sí,
todo bien o eso es menos común.
la pasamos bien es siempre tiempo pasado, así que es algo donde
Ok,
vos ya te
claro,
fuiste, ya
la
te
pasamos
fuiste.
bien.
Ahora, vos podés decir, la estamos pasando muy bien. Por ejemplo, vos y yo ahora la estamos pasando muy bien porque en este momento la estamos pasando.
Ok,
Esto, vamos a decir, si vos ahora le mandás un texto a un amigo, le decís, Ben y yo la estamos pasando muy bien. Tiempo presente, la estamos pasando, ¿no?
la estamos pasando, ok, pero nunca diría algo como ahora la paso bien o algo así, como, es que, porque si me preguntas como, ¿cómo estás? Nunca sería como, la paso bien, eso, porque eso nunca
Sí,
escuché.
sí, 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 se puede usar, se puede usar. Ahora la
Ok,
paso bien, am, o, en realidad se usa más en un contexto neutral y medio hasta negativo, ¿no?
ok,
Medio sarcástico en el sentido de, por ejemplo, si alguien te pregunta, ¿y te gusta tu trabajo? Y vos podés decir, la paso bien. Vamos a decir,
ok,
lo que querés decir es que no
no
lo
really,
odias. Claro, que no odias tu trabajo, pero tampoco es que que te encanta tu trabajo, por ejemplo, las reuniones con Dustin y, me imagino que las reuniones conmigo es algo que te gusta hacer, entonces no necesitarías decirlo de manera sarcástica. Pero la paso bien es más, se puede usar, como te decía, más, un poco medio más sarcástico en el sentido de que no es que lo odias, es un buen trabajo, pero no es el trabajo ideal. Por ejemplo, me imagino que en el trabajo tuyo hay días que no te querés meter en el lago, vamos a decir, ¿no? Pero bueno, tenés que ir, bueno. Pero qué sé yo, quizás te pagan bien y tenés buenos compañeros y no sé, te gusta la empresa, entonces decir, la paso bien, vamos a decir, ¿no? No te podés quejar. I can't complain, kind of.
Claro, porque más que nada quiero usar más respuestas cuando alguien me pregunta cómo estás, porque siempre digo como, todo bien, o estoy bien, así que estoy tratando de usar como acá andamos o algo así, pero no sabía si como la estoy pasando o algo así sería otra opción, pero está bien.
Sí, la
Eh,
paso bien, te digo que la paso bien, que tengas cuidado con usar la paso bien porque
ok.
no es, porque también puede significar también puede significar, la gente lo puede tener de manera pretenciosa.
Ah,
Pretentious, I think is the word.
pretentious, yeah, pretentious.
Pretentious. Por ejemplo, si vos decís, uy, ¿cómo la estás pasando con el tema del COVID y tu trabajo? Si vos decís, la paso bien, significa que como de manera pretenciosa estás diciendo, oye, a mí no me afectó porque tengo plata, vamos a decir, ¿no? Entonces se puede entender un poco medio como que no puede caer, quizás no caiga bien que respondas, la paso bien, porque hay gente que te lo va a entender de manera que estás diciendo, I don't care about what happens to everybody. I'm fine, I have money. You know what I mean?
Me chupa un
En ese-
huevo, ¿eh? No, em, ok, entiendo. Y una preguntita más sobre este tema. Em, la pregunta como, qué onda tu trabajo? ¿Qué onda una persona, lo que sea? Em, ¿Cuál es tu respuesta común? O sea, ¿es como todo bien? Porque eso
Mm,
siempre es como, ¿qué onda? Es como,
claro.
eh, nada, que like, what's up, nothing, eso es en inglés, pero no sé si supongo que eso
Sí,
no,
no.
no tiene sentido.
¿Qué onda es básicamente como vos dijiste, es WhatsApp? En realidad es como que estás eh, inquiring, estás inquiriendo, no sé cómo se dice en español, una respuesta, ¿no? O sea, no. Eso es lo que cuando vos preguntas qué onda, es como que estás diciendo, bueno, decime algo, vamos a decir, ¿no? Le estás pidiendo a la persona que te responda, vamos a decir, ¿no?
Ok,
Que te dé una
sí,
respuesta, vamos a decir. Estás como exigiendo una respuesta de manera amigable. Uno dice, ¿qué onda? Por ejemplo, puedes decir, eh, che, me ibas a mandar plata, ¿qué onda? Por ejemplo, no sé si lo primero que me viene a la mente, pero,
ok,
eh, o puedes decir al cajero, discúlpame, ordené una pizza hace 40 minutos, ¿qué onda?
ok,
Vamos a decir,
ok.
¿no?
Porque también es como, ¿qué tal el trabajo? ¿Qué tal tu día? ¿O qué tal el examen? O algo así. Y no sabía si como qué onda es
Sí,
casi,
sí,
casi
claro.
la misma pregunta.
Claro,
Eh,
también se usa en el contexto de que onda exigís una respuesta más extensa de sí o no. ¿Ok? Por ejemplo, si tenés un amigo que empezó un nuevo trabajo, ¿no? Empezó a trabajar en Starbucks, ¿no? Y le decís, che, Joe, ¿cómo fue tu primer día en Starbucks? ¿Qué onda? O sea, en realidad, como le estás preguntando, ¿te gustó o no te gustó? Hay gente copada, hay assholes, o sea,
claro,
que como que le estás pidiendo con qué onda uno está preguntando por una explicación, ¿ok?
ok.
¿Qué onda? Porque ordené la pizza hace 40 minutos. ¿Qué onda? Dame una explicación, significa, vamos a decir. Es una...
Ok. No,
Dame una
entiendo.
siempre acordate de eso. Dame una explicación. No me digas sí o no. O sea, dame una
Eso
explicación.
sería la respuesta de un yankee, como, ¿qué onda? Como,
Claro.
Sí, sí.
Claro, exactamente.
No, 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 gracias. No.
Bueno.
Este tipo.
No. O sea, tell me more. It's kind of a tell me more. I mean,
Okay.
why is the pizza taking so long? Did you have to go and buy, what is it called? Harina, ¿no? Harina.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Eh,
yeah.
que estás exprimiendo la leche para hacer el queso de la pizza. ¿Por qué tarda tanto? Que estamos todos locos.
Sí, tengo un hambre. Pero sí, mentí, porque tengo una pregunta más sobre
No, dale,
ese
dale.
tema. Eh, es como, no sé si es una pregunta, pero porque en inglés es como, nunca diríamos como WhatsApp, como, ¿qué tal tu trabajo? Esto está bien dicho, ¿no? Como, ¿qué tal tu trabajo? It's like, how,
¿Qué tal tu trabajo?
yeah. Eso en inglés para mí es como, eso no tiene sentido, pero obviamente son
Sí, de
idiomas
todos modos
diferentes.
hay muchas, si vos querés sonar más argentino, en muchas de las cosas que preguntas, siempre acordate de agregar el che. Che, ¿qué tal tu trabajo? ¿Ok?
Sí,
Eso suena más argentino que ¿qué tal tu trabajo? ¿Qué tal tu trabajo? Está bien, pero es muy neutral, vamos a decir, ¿no?
sí,
Pero si vos querés hacerlo más argentino, che, ¿qué tal tu trabajo? Vamos a
sí,
decir, ¿no?
dale. Ok, claro. Eh, ok, pero está bien, porque es como, ¿qué tal tu
Entiendo.
trabajo? Y siempre pienso como, what's up my job? Como, ah, está bien, todo todo pasa bien, o algo así, como todo tranquilo, pero nunca sabía si hay una respuesta más común, como, no, todo bien, o no pasa nada, o algo, no sé. Pero bueno, y no sé si estás listo,
Sí,
podemos
no, escuché ahí,
cambiar a la segunda
escuché,
pregunta.
escuché ahí, escucho algo ahí como que hay un insecto por ahí, así que si me ves ahí, así,
Cuidado, ¿eh?
tengo miedo que... No, porque acá al lado de esta habitación tenemos en la habitación que está arriba del garage, y ahí hay un nido de avispas, así que por eso
Ah,
no es que es un mosquito, sino que espero que no sea una avispa, porque ahí sí voy a tener que actuar y
correr.
ser un
Em,
ninja.
em, y la próxima pregunta es, a veces cuando alguien está hablando em, y, y dicen algo como, o dice algo como, no lo puedo creer, pero es algo, ellos están hablando rápido, para mí suena como, no lo puedo creer. No es puedo, sino más como un no lo puedo creer, pero no es pudo como el pasado de alguien, como no sé si entendés lo que te digo, pero eh, a veces con Dustin está bien, es como, no lo puedo creer, pero es como, no lo puedo creer, pero es como es, la pronunciación no es tan, eh, no sé, eh, perfecto, es más, eh, no sé la palabra, pero ¿entendés o no? Porque a veces es como, no lo puedo creer, y no sé si es algo que vos haces.
Sí, en realidad te recomiendo en ese sentido que digas, no lo puedo creer, no lo puedo creer. Esforzate en pronunciar la D, porque En otros países de habla hispana es no lo puedo creer, no lo puedo creer. Es más, la D no se pronuncia, pero en Argentina es no te puedo creer, no lo puedo creer, boludo, no lo puedo creer. O sea, es más, la D, la pronunciación de la D es la que marca la diferencia entre una persona de Cuba, por ejemplo,
Claro,
o de Argentina, ¿no?
claro, claro.
El cubano te va a decir, no lo puedo creer, no lo puedo creer. Pero el argentino nunca te va a decir eso, te va a decir, no lo puedo creer, boludo, no lo puedo creer.
Pero
La
es
D,
algo, y no entiendo, pero es algo con la U y la E, es como, no es puedo, es como, no lo puedo no sé, puede ser que es algo que no escucho bien, pero es algo que ya noté muchas veces, es como, solo con la palabra puedo, pero suena más como pudo, como no lo puedo creer, pero es algo, alguien hablando como,
bueno,
no lo puedo creer, no lo puedo creer. No sé, así que
en
sí,
realidad cuando lo hablas rápido, cuando decís rápido, no puedo creer, pero no lo puedo creer, boludo, no lo puedo creer.
no lo
Pero,
puedo creer.
eh, eh, es decir, es un poco la diferencia entre can and can't, right? Can and can't.
Claro,
It's like a kind of a really, cómo uno hace el énfasis o extiende las vowels, las vocales, ¿no?
claro,
Porque can, right? Or can't, right? So you're extending the A no lo puedo creer, no lo no lo puede. So you want to extend it a little bit. Otherwise, it's going to sound like you said, va a sonar como no lo pudo creer. Y no lo pudo creer tiene otro significado, ¿no?
claro, claro. Y solo te lo pregunto porque eh, no es como una pregunta si uno es más, sería más correcto o algo así, sino si es algo que ya notaste o que escuchaste alguna vez o si solo es algo eh, con con mi experiencia, vamos a decir. Pero bueno, está bien. Entiendo que obviamente hay varias pronunciaciones y unos son eh, menos correctas, sino es lo que dice la gente en el país o lo que sea. Pero bueno, eso solo tenía los dos dudas, así que podemos revisar tu lista enorme si te cabe.
Oh, bueno, en realidad, bueno, como vos quieras, si no tenés nada más, no hay nada más, podemos pasar a mi lista que no es, no es tan grande, pero hay varios temas. Pero bueno, no sé, ¿estás seguro que querés cambiar?
No,
Porque,
sí, estoy listo. Solo escribí como la pasamos o la estamos pasando y puedo contra pudo, pero no pudo como el pasado, solo él a veces suena como no lo pudo creer o algo así. Eh, y listo. Así que,
no, me siento un poco mejor porque siempre yo estoy, Will tiene todas estas preguntas y yo muchas veces no tengo muchas preguntas y me siento como que mal about that, pero bueno, ahora balanceamos un poco y en esta tengo varias para preguntarte que en realidad son observaciones. Algunas cosas las entiendo, pero las traigo por si alguien está mirando y aprende lo que aprendí yo, vamos a decir, ¿no? Así
genial.
que bueno, if you want, let's do the switch to English.
Hey, perfecto. Woo! And we're live.
We're live in English. So I don't, buddy. I don't.
Hey,
What's going on?
Todo tranquilo. Sorry, no, I just can't switch. No, yeah, everything's good here. I'm excited. I have a few things to teach you, but I'm excited that you have a list of questions. I'll do my best to answer as best I can. Obviously, as always, I'm not a language professor, but I do know a thing about English. So.
You're a master in English because you're a native speaker, so that's a Yoda.
But yeah, so if we want to start either with your questions or I can go over.
All right. So some things I didn't look. I mean, oftentimes I don't look at those things because I'm going to ask Will because, you know, when you Google, you get like a text explanation. And so when I bring these things up to the show, then somebody else watching can learn as well. So the first one, I didn't look this up, so I'm not entirely sure what it means. But I have a phrase that I heard somewhere, somehow, and I was like, oh, I heard that before, but I'm not really sure what it means. So here's the phrase, and the phrase is shed a purple Twinkie. I don't know what that means. Shed a purple Twinkie.
Oh, wow. I don't know if I've ever heard that either.
Okay. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I just Googled it, and the first thing that comes up is Urban Dictionary. I don't know if you're familiar with Urban Dictionary. That's sort of like a good place for looking up slang or stuff like that. Wow. Potentially fatal. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I've never heard this before. So you're actually teaching me something. But it appears that based on this, and this is just, you know, one website saying this, that it's like you heard information and you were so surprised that you almost died, or like that you were like you couldn't believe something.
Is it like shitting my pants?
I think it would be like, you know, if I was telling you and I was like, hey Ben, I was riding my skateboard yesterday, and you know, I looked down at my phone and I went out in the middle of the road and a car just missed me. I could have died. And you'd be like, oh, this looks like, from what I'm seeing, you'd be like, you could be like, wow, like, you know, I nearly purple Twinkie when I heard like of what could have happened. That's like the example they give, is that it's like when someone heard about what could have happened. So a severe offense to one's sense of propriety or decency and outrage. Maybe I could have given a better example. Maybe it's more so like something really unexpected, because obviously you'd be really surprised if you shit a purple Twinkie. It's kind of like más raro que un perro verde, just something that's like, you know, like what is that, you know? But I'd be curious where you heard that, because never have I ever heard it.
You know, I honestly don't remember, because this list I built in the last 2 weeks or since our last class. So
right.
I honestly don't remember. I mean, I can tell you that I've been watching this new network called Gaia.
Gaia, right? Yeah.
So I probably heard that there. That's my guess.
That's wild. I'll have to do more research on that, but it looks like something that's like, this is saying it's like a, it looks like you could also use it as like a sort of like an insult, or kind of like anda a cagar, like go shit a purple Twinkie.
Okay.
So maybe there's multiple uses, but I have no idea why or where it comes from. So I'll have to leave you with that for now. I'm sorry to disappoint.
That's good. No, that's great.
We'll give you a refund.
No, anybody watching this will learn like we did. So the second topic I have here, and this is something that I would like to spend a little bit of time on it, because I think it's important. It's important to me. in my learning. But something that I always struggle with, and I'm doing better now. I know I'm doing better, but I still don't quite get it at 100%. And this is something that a lot of Spanish speakers have trouble with, and also it happens also with somebody who's learning Spanish. But going to somebody speaking Spanish natively and then switching to English, something I have so much trouble, and it is so easy for a native speaker like you or my wife. I do pay attention when she speaks, and I always like, wow, I wish I can say it. It's like the R is like so much, and it's so easy for you guys, for you or my wife. It's like so embedded in your language, because that's a language you learned since you were a kid. And I see it especially with my older daughter, but it's like this obviously perfectly sounding R, and I struggle with that all the time. So, for example, I have two examples here, very, very quick, just two words. For example, the Spanish word freír is to fry, right?
Yep.
Freír is easy for me because my native language is Spanish. But with somebody who speaks English as a native language, they go freír. And I'm exaggerating a little bit. So now for somebody speaking Spanish as a native language, when we say the word very, very, like very much. So something I noticed that somebody who's a native speaker in English will say very, very. I mean, again, I'm exaggerating the R and making it a little slower so I can actually, explain what I mean. But basically the question is like, if you have any advice or any suggestions on how to implement that very natural R pronunciation when you speak. It's basically
right. Yeah, I know this is something we've touched on a little bit in the past. I guess I'll ask you a question. So, like, I know for me, when I try to speak Spanish and really do like a good Argentine accent, it's hard sometimes, when you're really talking with someone, because you're constantly thinking about what you're going to say. So sometimes you're not as focused on how it's going to sound. But like, for example, I was just working with Ruben, and he was just giving me like little short sentences, like, not even think like, dale, perfecto, or like, así que bueno, like we just like little tiny like Argentine things to try to like pronounce as well as you can. And for me, that is way, way better for practicing the sound than reading full sentences. Like, no tenés que hablar perfectamente para que, alguien entiendas or entienda, like something like that. I find it's harder to maintain all the sounds because you're focused more on other things. So the long-winded point is, I wonder if a good way to practice might be if we just came up with like short, few word things instead of, and tried to say it like with as much of an American accent as you could, and just really focused on that R. And I know you're saying like how to make that sound. I don't know if I could just tell you like, oh, it just comes from the back of the throat or whatever, but it might be something that, if we kind of say some stuff, we can kind of find what sounds the best and then be like, all right, like whatever you're doing there, like keep doing that sort of thing.
Right.
That's an option. So I know you said something like let's say like if I say I'm really tired, do you hear that R? Like really?
Oh yeah. Really, it's a beautiful R, by the way. Beautiful. Perfect.
Yeah. So like I wonder, if it's something you don't want to do on the camera or on the spot,
happy to do it.
I'll send you like a few, like if we do like I'm really tired, how are you? Or I guess is that still, maybe that's not quite the same noise. R Yeah, I guess it is, right? It doesn't have
Yeah,
to be
yeah. Any art. So, for example, last night we were coming back home, and I played soccer, and then I brought my girls to their auntie's house, and I was
girl might
picking
be another good word too. Girl.
girl, right, girl, or the name Earl, right, the
Earl.
name Earl,
Right.
Earl. And I think I think I do a pretty decent job with the R. However, I'm still I still I can still work on it. But anyway, something that I remember last night that remind me of my notes is because we went to McDonald's and my wife was driving home because I was too tired to drive, to be honest with you. And so she placed an order and she went to the drive. We went to the drive through and I remember I kind of, I remember that was like so natural, that I
Right.
envy on a positive way. I'm jealous, I guess, of that pronunciation, but it was so natural, obviously, for her. But she said, "Hi, can I get a double cheeseburger?" I mean, I'm exaggerating the R, but can I get a double cheeseburger? And it was like this really perfectly shaped R with a cheeseburger, like a burger. And I'm extending it to demonstrate that it was, and so it's difficult for me. It's been difficult for me for all these years. Now I think I'm doing a better job, but I wanted to talk about this specifically because I know that 95% or more of Spanish speakers struggle with how to pronounce the R like a native. So,
right. And I guess the last thing I'll say is like, for you, this is like, where you say putting a cherry on top. So it's like the icing on the cake. It's just like, you're just adding bonus stuff because like you do speak really well. So it's not like the way you say it now is bad. It's just like, I would use the example. It's kind of like, if I were saying like, no lo puedo creer, and I could include kind of doing more like, no lo puedo creer, like something a little bit more like, maybe that just sounded like maybe a little bit more like native sometimes, like, but no, the way you're doing it is not wrong by any means. So I just start with that. So don't put yourself up. I guess like, and I don't know all the phonetics or the muscle movements like Dustin and Ruben talk about. But one of the things I always find with, especially American English, and maybe this won't help with the R's, but we're very lazy with the mouth. So like a lot of times I feel like instead of like, hey, I would like a hamburger and all this stuff, like if you're really over exaggerating it, your mouth kind of is like open and your lips are really going. Whereas if it's like, kind of informal with someone might be like, yeah, like I'd take a hamburger and, or like, yeah, my little girl and and it's more like you're not pronouncing it as clearly because it's sort of like, that'd be too much effort, if that makes sense. So you're kind of more like, yeah, it's really, really good here. And not like mumbling. You're not like, yeah, I don't want to, like you still move a little bit, but I don't know if that's something that would help. We could try it with a few sentences. Like, so like if you said like, I'm really tired, I would never be like, I'm really tired. Like, I don't know if you see the difference in like really moving the mouth, more energy, as opposed to just like, I'm really tired. And you kind of get more of that, like, I'm really tired. Like, it's just like a lower, like I think in Argentina, it's sort of that like, che, no tenés, like, and you get that sort of like that high voice where I think in the US, it's kind of more of like even with women, I feel like sometimes you talk a little bit with less energy. And so you get that kind of more like, noise, if that makes sense. So that might be something to try. Like maybe when you talk about your dial technique of like turning something to like really English. Yeah, is like just try being a little bit lazier with your mouth. Like
exaggerated.
Yeah, I'm really tired today. It's really hard.
Right.
Just like and then maybe like fine tune it so you talk a little bit more and be like, yeah, I'm really tired. It's hard. Girl, whatever the words are, that might be a good thing. I just find that that's something that like I remember when I talked to some of my friends. that were trying to learn English. They said that it was hard sometimes with people from the U.S. compared to other countries because they felt like people in the U.S. didn't enunciate well. They were more like, yeah, things are good. And like my mouth's not really moving for that, like, yeah, things are good. I'm working hard, job's good. As opposed to like someone from England might be like, yeah, everything's going well and this and that. Like, it's more clean.
Defined.
Yeah. So that would be one of the things right off the bat. The only other thing I could say is, I guess the noise is kind of, and we don't really like, I don't focus on it, but if you've ever heard like a frog and it kind of, or not even a frog, it's sort of like sometimes you'll hear like I guess it's a toad or a frog. Like they kind of make this like, yeah, it's just like, it comes like right here, but you don't want to like focus too much on it. It's just anything, you don't want it to come from your mouth. You don't want it to be like very, it should be like very, it's kind of more like in the back of your very.
Very.
Yeah, like that one sounded pretty good, what you just did there. So
very. Oh, it's more like in your throat, or like in your
you should, like you could feel like very
like to bring it down. Okay, very, like kind of swallowing a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. And you don't want it to be like, you don't want it to overdo it, where like
you want it to be
like, I'm really happy.
Yes.
People would think you smoked a lot or something. Like,
yeah, because you said that one of the words you used in your explanation was cherry on the pie. I think you said.
Oh yeah, a cherry on top. Cherry.
Yeah, so words will be like cherry, cheeseburger, burger, American. So Biden, the President Joe Biden says American. That I see that he pronounces the R perfectly, just as an example, right? And then it will be the name Earl, right? The name Earl.
Okay.
And girl, the word girl, also the word purple, or the word word, right? Word. It's really.
It might just be like, I might have to hear you say those, not trying to emphasize the R, but it might just be like if you're lingering on the R for too long, like you're staying there too long. If it, like girl, it's like, it's a noise, but obviously I know you're just trying to make the noise so I know what you're talking about. But I mean, if you say something like quickly, if you kind of brush over it, I don't know if I'd really notice that it was girl.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I think I learned how to do it better over the years, and I've been speaking English for 17, 18 years. So it hasn't been easy for me, but I think I do currently do a good job, but I really admire when natives pronounce the R, because it's like, but it's really quick. It's quicker. You know what I mean? I'm exaggerating right now to demonstrate, but it's like my wife yesterday, and I had a double cheeseburger, and she was like cheeseburger, and it really pronounced really rounded sound, like.
Well, so I guess it's like right now, like how would you say, like if you were talking about eating one of those, how would you say it? Like,
so if I don't think about it, I say cheeseburger. Now, if I think about it, I will say, if I want to sound better, I will try to say cheeseburger, burger, cheeseburger. But if I don't think about it, I will say cheeseburger. But you see, I think it's okay. It just doesn't sound like my wife will say cheeseburger. Again, I'm exaggerating, right. But something like, can I please get a cheeseburger?
And just to humor me, does it help? Like if you try my genius method that may or may not work, like if you really try to say it like without moving your lips a lot, like, or your jaw, just like cheeseburger. Does that help at all?
Cheeseburger. Yeah, cheeseburger.
To me, like that sounds, because you're not putting as much on the like burger. You're not doing like a But
Yeah, I
it's
think that I think that I just this thing I did different right now is I kept my teeth together. Cheeseburger, cheeseburger,
yeah, and
cheese.
you don't have to like fully clench your teeth. You don't have to be like, give me a cheeseburger. Ahora
Right,
mismo. But
right.
if it helped, like again,
Burger,
that's one thing that I think really,
cheeseburger,
really defines
burger. Oh, yeah,
American
that's
English is sort of like a laziness and just sort of like, why would I use more energy? Why would I do hey, no, hamburguesa? Like it's when it could just be like, yeah, I'll take a cheeseburger and, oh, I really like the cheeseburgers here. It's just sort of like
right.
it's much more flat, which is why for me, it's hard to act like, pero no entendés lo que te digo, eh? Como it is like for me, it's just like to be like, no entiendes lo que te digo.
Right.
It's like it's much easier. Like I don't need all that energy, but so that would be my thought. Is just again, you could do your dial method of like you're really doing it like cheeseburger, but it's probably somewhere in between of like a cheeseburger,
Cheeseburger, cheeseburger, cheeseburger, cheeseburger, cheeseburger, cheeseburger, cheeseburger, cheeseburger.
Maybe I'm biased, but I mean that sounds more native to me. But maybe it's just
Yeah, I was
Ruben
just trying.
Like, no, watch. You'll tell Ruben, be like, "Oh, Will told me to do this." He'll be like, "No, absolutely not. That sounds horrible."
No, that's great. I really appreciate it. I think you're right. It really helps me a lot. On so what I would try, I try right now is like imagine that I'm biting my teeth only with one side of my mouth. So it's like I leave some air here, but not. This is tighter. So cheeseburger, 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 cheeseburger. And then I try to bring the sound down to my throat a little bit.
Yeah. As opposed to cheeseburger, like really burger, that extra emphasis makes it stand out more, I would say. So just, I think the less, especially too, this is a good learning opportunity. If you ever focus on the difference, even between like me and Dustin or Ruben and Dustin, like Dustin's from the South. He's from Georgia.
Right.
And I don't know if you're familiar with like a Southern accent, but that's one of the in the same way, I'm sure everyone from Argentina can do like a porteño accent. Like everyone in the U.S. does like a Southern accent, and it's always, you talk like this. It's much more kind of lazy. You don't put as much emphasis. It's like you pronounce things differently. So I don't want it to go that far. Although maybe Dustin would love it. He'd be like, yeah,
Yeah.
But I think again, in general in English, we're much more sort of like monotoned and like don't use more energy than you need to on a cheeseburger when it's just been like a cheeseburger, and maybe that's too easy. Maybe that's as a native speaker, it's just like, yeah, don't do it. It's too easy. But I don't know. That would be my biggest piece of advice without getting into like phonetics or anything like that.
Yeah, I noticed that Dustin, when he speaks without thinking too much about it, and when thinking about the way he's going to pronounce, like the video he made the other day when he was explaining what happened to him, I think that in some instances he was like really natural and he wasn't thinking about the English, but he was like really, I can see how, what you're talking about. Well, he's more, kind of Southern, a little bit of a Southern accent.
Right. And I'd say like Ruben and I were both kind of like, even though Ruben's from farther out west, if you will, in Michigan, I'd say he and I have a more similar accent, whereas Dustin has a little bit of that southern flair, we'll say. That'll be the word.
Okay, well, thank you so much. And I'll move on to the next one.
Vamos.
If you have time, let me know if you have to go, because
we can do a few more. We can definitely do a few more.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll see if in the next ones we should be able to move a little bit quicker because they're not that complex questions. So I have a note here. I wrote breathe in, I, and then cancel it. Cancel it. It's like when you say cancel it. When you say I cannot sleep, I noticed that a lot of people say cancel it. It's like KENSLE. Cancel it. Cancel it.
I can't sleep.
Anyway, that was a note that I noticed that E sounds like a really cancel it. Cancel it. Cancel it. It's like cancel it. But you're actually trying to say I cannot sleep or I can't sleep. And people say cancel it.
I can't sleep. Yeah, again, I think it probably comes down to just laziness. You're not pronouncing all the letters, so that P at the end kind of like I can't sleep. I can't sleep. I don't know if you hear the P or not. At the end, but they're like, oh, last night, like, or tonight I can't sleep.
Right.
Again, I think it's just sort of like you just sort of merge the two words together, so it does kind of sound like can sleep, cancel it, kind of like that. But can you try it? Like if you were like, oh well, like I tried to go
I can't sleep.
I can't sleep.
I can't sleep. The way I will naturally say it is like, oh, I can't sleep. I can't sleep. I can't sleep. Yeah, I think I pronounced the I a little more and the P a little more, but yeah.
That sounded really good to me. And this is a thing I just learned. I guess they say in Córdoba is de diez. De diez is like
yes. Good. Okay. So I'm gonna try to move a little faster with the other ones because there are not too many left. So maybe we can go through all of them again. This should be quick. And you tell me, hey, I gotta go or something. But
no, I have some time.
I can try to go a little quicker on this one. So a word that I heard and I wrote that down. So, and again, if somebody's watching this, they will learn something new. Is the word adventuresome. So if you can quickly let us know what that means and if you use it or not, and how often do you use it?
So I don't use that word a lot, adventuresome. And that's another great point. And you've probably seen this like with town names in English. It's similar pronunciation. So like adventuresome, that ends with SOME, but we kind of pronounce it more like that'd be like Psalm, like adventuresome, but it's sort of more like some, like with a U almost, and for English, like adventuresome. So like if you're saying it kind of quick, you just sort of like that last part is not as clear. So like I just said it naturally as adventuresome instead of adventuresome. It's like an omitted syllable, I guess, is what we technically call it.
Okay.
So you can definitely use it. I don't think it's not as common. One word, and I don't know if these are directly synonyms or like interchangeable, is adventurous. I don't know if you've
adventurous, right?
So like adventurous. If you were, if you're someone that traveled the world and we're always meeting people and all that, I'd be like, oh man, my buddy Ben is really adventurous. He's always,
So adventurous
Captain
is for
Jack Sparrow's adventurous. That's a great usage of it. But adventuresome, I think, is just like is someone who's like really likely to.
So it's not related to a situation, but to a person, you mean?
Yeah, it's just describing. I mean, I guess you could also use like it was an adventurous trip. I don't really use adventuresome that much. It's not that it's not a good word to use. It's just like it's a little more complex than adventurous. But I don't know if there's an example where adventuresome would be more grammatically correct.
But they're both synonyms, right?
I think they're pretty much interchangeable. Yeah, I'm just trying to read.
Okay.
I'm trying to read this real quick just to see if there's any. Adventurous is more preferred in common usage. Adventuresome is not used very often compared to adventurous. So this is saying adventurous is something or someone that's, without fear or ready to take on challenges or adventures. So, adventurous, you're sort of brave, something like that. Adventuresome means you're like, it's something you're willing to do. Like he's adventuresome. Like he has no problem doing stuff like that. I don't know if that makes they're very similar, very, very similar. So I wouldn't worry. I think I would recommend that use adventurous just because it sounds more common, and more people will absolutely know what it is. But you wouldn't be wrong if you used adventuresome. Does that answer the question?
Okay. So then I'm going to go like 4 at once, because these are not really these are not really to define them, but I just wanted to share with you and with the audience that somebody who is a native speaker learning English, like my daughter. So these are things that my daughters said, and I have 4 words that they say. So my oldest daughter, Brianna, she's 6 and she cannot say the word restaurant.
Restaurant, yeah.
So the word that she uses, she says restaurant.
A restaurant.
Restaurant, like nut. And that's one of the words that is cute. So my youngest daughter, she can't say the word birthday.
Birthday, yeah.
So she uses the word potty. Potty. Like
instead of party.
Right, she said. More like she said party, the birthday party.
Yeah, that's like the R again. She doesn't have the party. It's a party. Birthday party.
Yeah. So then the other thing that she says, she was saying to me, Luca Paito. Do you know what she's
de pesos? No, Luca Paito. Yeah, I'm not sure.
You know what she's trying to say? Luca Paito.
Look up there.
Yes.
Luca Paito.
He was trying to say, look at spider.
Look at spider. Okay.
Look at Paito, Dada. Look at Paito. It was a little spider.
So cute.
But I think that was cute. So those are like the girls' words that I have, and we went through. And then I have the other questions are the next word that I have. I have just 3 more and 1 in Spanish. So the word. How often do you use the word transubstantiation? Transubstantiation. You spell it TRANSUBSTANTIATION.
Yeah, transubstantiation.
And how often do you use it, and what does it mean?
Yeah. Okay. So this is an interesting one, and I know exactly where you heard it from, because it's only used in one context. So transubstantiation is the belief in Catholicism, or for people who are Catholic, that when they serve communion, so the bread and the wine, that in that moment when they're doing the ritual, that actually becomes the flesh of Christ and the blood of Christ, like that it transforms into those things.
Okay.
So it's so like for me, I'm Christian but not Catholic, and so when we do communion and we have the bread and the wine, it's just to represent, it's just bread and wine representing the Last Supper. I don't know how familiar you are with.
Yeah. I grew up Christian and
Okay.
got my first communion and my confirmation. So
Right. Okay. Yeah. So.
I don't know if you see it here, but my
Oh,
little.
okay. Yeah. Yeah. So it's just for Catholics, which I don't know. I should know how to say that. Católico, is it just católico? Right. Obviously. But how do you say like people who are Catholic? Católicos? Is that just
Católicos, right?
católicos? Yeah. So it's just that's like a really fancy way of basically what happens in a communion in Catholics is that they believe that the bread and the wine turns into the body and blood of Jesus.
Do you use it only in that context, or can you say, for example, I'm just trying to, do you use it, let's say, oh, I just ate a burger, using my R's, I just ate a burger, so it's going to transubstantiate into poop, or not?
I wouldn't do that.
Okay. It's like more is that a religious word?
Yeah, it's exclusively.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I don't think. One, a lot of people probably wouldn't know it if they're not Catholic, or if they haven't taken like a world religion course. And two, like, yeah, I just wouldn't. I wouldn't use it as like in like a joking way like that. Just so you don't upset.
No, I was just on a good side.
Right. No, I get it. I just so you don't.
No, that's good to know. Good to know. Thank you.
So you don't.
I'll not use it on any other context. I promise.
I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I just so you don't ganar una piña. Una piña, yeah.
Una piña o un bofe. Un bofe.
Yeah.
Un bofe.
I'm just trying to help you out.
Okay, so the next one is the expression to no avail.
Okay.
So how often do you use it, and can you explain us what it means?
Yeah. I use it fairly commonly, but it's one of those things that like everyone, if you use it, like people will know what it is. So it may not be used every day in common conversations, but it's used enough where people have heard the expression before. So to no avail is basically like, I'm trying to think what the best way is, like sin éxito or something, like without, like you didn't succeed. So you could be like, for example, your daughter is, like, can we please have pizza tonight? Please have pizza tonight. And we could say like, she begged and begged, but to no avail. So like, something you tried and tried, but eventually you're like, no, like we're going to have salad or something. You know what I mean? Like it's basically like you tried something, but in the end it didn't work, to no avail. So like to know, you didn't get what you were trying to do. So you usually hear it more like in at least for me, and maybe people disagree, like, I usually hear it more in a professional context. Or like I watch a lot of history documentaries, so it could be something like the soldiers fought, but to no avail. They lost the battle, like something like that. You could definitely use it. Like, you could even use it kind of like in a sarcastic thing. Like you're like, oh, I was trying to tell my wife, like give my wife advice, but to no avail. She didn't want to hear my thoughts. You know what I mean? Like you can kind of use it in one way like that too. Like, but I lost.
I lost, right? Now, the context where I hear that phrase was I was watching an interview on Gaia, and this lady was interviewing this military guy who witnessed a UFO sighting, and he was saying that back then, this is like in the 60s, the government tried to hide that from people to no avail. There was so many witnesses that they couldn't really hide it. So
right, exactly. So you're trying to do something, but you don't.
But I never heard the expression before, so that's why I wrote it down.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's I think that's another one that if you use that, it shows that like that's not one that you're going to learn like in a in a common like learn English course. You know, it's a bit more advanced, but it's not so advanced that people are going to be like, you know, who is this guy? To no avail. That's a great one.
Mm-hmm. Good. Thank you. And I have, I think, two more. One expression, one word, and then a definition in Spanish. One is in kind of in Spanish. So the two expressions are that one that my daughter taught me the other day, and I was like, oh, and I asked my wife, it's like, what is she trying to say? So anyway, she used the expression corn on a cob. I was like, I don't know what, you know. So my wife explained me that, well, if you want to explain it, but basically I can tell you that, well, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's corn on the cob is it is sort of a funny way of saying it, but it's basically just, it's eating like a thing of choclo or whatever. It's just like the part you actually eat is corn on the cob. So it's just like when you cook that and eat it, like, oh, tonight we're having corn on the cob. If you just said like we're having corn, people might think like, okay, corn, like the little bits in salad, or corn, like, but corn on the cob means you're getting the whole thing, and you usually eat it like, you know. So the cob is the part you throw out that you don't eat. So it's just saying that the corn is still on that part. If that makes sense. I don't know actually, does that have a name in Spanish, like the actual?
I really actually, in fact, I have no idea. But yeah, the other day we ate corn from a local farm, and I like to cook it in the microwave. I cut it I peel it off a little bit, and then I cook it for 5 minutes, and it comes out really well. It's local.
You know the word mazorca?
Mazorca, no, maybe I heard the word, but now I'm learning what it means. So thank you for teaching me some Spanish.
It appears to be the closest thing to
mazorca, okay.
As like the center part that doesn't have the corn on it. So like,
I didn't know.
Separar los granos de la mazorca con un cuchillo.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Cuchillo. So something like that. So that's corn on the cob. Yeah.
Nice job. So two more.
Great this time of year too. August.
Oh yeah, corn on a cob.
And that's one thing that I take a lot of pride of in I don't know, I did this in New Jersey, because I think we have some of the best summer corn in the world.
Really?
Good. In August.
I wish I was there, because I love corn on a cob. I love it so much. I mean, we get them from a local farm, and we cut.
I'm sure it's really good
too. Yeah, I cut the two ends, and then with a big knife, and then I peel it just one or two layers, but then I leave 2 or 3 layers of the plant.
Yeah.
And I cook that for 5 minutes in the microwave, and then I peel it, and it comes out like so natural and flavorful. So
yeah. I don't know if you know here's a verb for you with corn. Have you ever heard the word to shuck? SHUCK.
Maybe, but no, I don't recall.
You have to be careful, because it does kind of sound like coger, but to shuck is a way of basically like saying to clean the corn. So like yesterday we had corn, and Mom's like, oh, I need someone to shuck the corn, and that just means to like get it ready to cook. So to shuck, there you go. That's a fun verb. I don't know if you can use it for any, like, I've only ever heard to shuck the corn. I've never heard like shucking a banana or anything like that. So just corn. So there's a new verb for you, to shuck.
Oh, good to know. Thank you. And do you cook it with hot water? Do you cook it on a pressure cooker? How do you cook it?
Yeah, in hot water.
But not on a pressure cooker.
No, just
hot water. Okay.
Yeah, boiling. Hervir.
Okay, so the last two I have the expression holy macro. So.
Oh, holy mackerel? Is that what you said?
holy macro. So, how often do you use it and what does it mean? It's just...
That's a great one. And that's actually funny because there was one of those past episodes where we were talking about, like, I was teaching you different expressions that had to do with food, I think. That was one I almost got to, is holy mackerel. That's very common, holy mackerel. It's just sort of like it's like a more appropriate way of saying, like, holy shit. So it's just like, it's like a fun kind of like, holy mackerel. I don't know where it comes from, but a mackerel is a type of fish. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's una especie de pez.
I have no idea. All this time I thought that they was referred to macro, like a big, or in the terms of size, macro, micro, or macro.
Well, I think unless we're talking about a different expression.
No.
Holy mackerel, but it's spelled mackerel, mackerel.
Oh, okay. No, that's the one that you.
It's a type of fish, and it's really common. I use it a fair amount, but yeah, definitely use that one. That one's fun. Holy mackerel! Like I'm trying to think of, like, what's a good expression. Like you could just use it like sort of in a fun way. If someone's telling you, like, yesterday I was playing cards and I won $200. You'd be like, holy mackerel, $200 bucks! Like, it's just like, you're just sort of like surprised about something. But it's a fun way. So, sometimes too, you'd be like, maybe you kick something hard and it really hurts. You'd be like, holy mackerel, instead of saying like a bad word, like a clean way. So
yeah, that's good to know. Thank you, because I always thought it was macro.
No, it's not holy macro. It's mackerel.
Okay. No, I'll post a picture. I'll put a picture of a mackerel.
A type of fish. It's a really cool looking fish too. I love fish, but it's a holy mackerel. Don't know why, but
I love salmon. I eat that. I do eat a lot of salmon. Love it.
Oh, that's another one. I think that trips up a lot of Spanish speakers. Salmon. It looks like it should be salmon, but it's salmon.
Salmon.
I don't know why.
Salmon.
That is a big one.
Salmon, papa.
Salmon. Yeah. Salmon. It doesn't look like it. That L, get rid of it.
Okay. No, that's good to know. Thank you.
That's a big one. It's like salmon. Was it Nike? People say Nike. Nike.
Do you know what Nike means? Don't look it up. So I'm just saying. Do you know what
Nike? Is a Greek god, I believe, or maybe not a god, but a Greek.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't know if it's a god or just a person, but it ran.
Was it a goddess?
Okay, a goddess of victory, right?
Yeah. Yep. From Greece. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So that she came, helped us, and because of all the sins that were on planet Earth, she went back to the Olimpo. So
but I'm pretty sure that it is actually pronounced Nike in Greek mythology. So everyone else is actually technically right, but in English we say Nike. Because who knows? Right. So we might be wrong, but that's the way we pronounce it. So
yeah, Super Holly has a really cool video about how to pronounce brands. So.
It's she's awesome. But yeah, Nike.
Nike.
I always thought that for the long time I thought Nike. There's a Greek person that ran 26 miles. So I guess it's what, like 42 kilometers, something like that. I could be wrong, but from one town to another town called Marathon. And that's why a marathon is that distance. And I used to think that was Nike, but it's not. That's some other character. I'll have to look who that is. But anyway, that's a different story. That'll be for a history class.
Okay, so the last word I have in English, and then I have one more in Spanish to tell you the backstory, and then I'm done. So the last word is digress. So what does it mean, and how often do you use it? And also, do you use it in a formal or an informal context or both?
Man, Ben, you're killing it with these questions today. These are great words. Digress is another one that I think if you can use that, again, it just sort of shows that like not only are you fluent, but like you know like some more advanced words, but it's not so advanced that it's like, oh, this guy over here thinks he's smart, like it. I digress. It's most commonly used in an expression. Like I'll give you an example. I could be like basically what I just did there, where I was like, well, I think Nike might actually be this person that ran and a marathon and all this stuff, but I digress. We should get back to Spanish. So it's basically like, but ni importa, like, let's go back. So it's basically like if you started talking about something that wasn't as relevant, you're digressing. It's basically like you're getting away from the theme or the topic. So it's most commonly to say, but I digress. That's how I use it most. That's how most people use it. So you could definitely use that. Like if you're talking with a buddy and you're like, you're talking about Messi going to PSG, and then you start talking about something else. You're like, but I digress. We were talking about Messi or whatever it is. It's like, let's get back to the topic.
Okay.
So it's like a transition thing, but I digress. It's sort of like, sorry for changing the topic, but it's sort of like you're not really apologizing. You're sort of like, but I digress. Like that's not important right now.
Okay. I'm going to use
great word. That's another one too, that like people definitely use it. It's just a good word. So definitely, definitely include that. I digress.
I'm going to use it more often in our conversations because sometimes I go por las ramas. Me voy por las ramas. And then
ramas? Is that what you said?
Por las ramas, it's like I'm going out
into
of
the branches or into the sticks or something, right?
Right. Yeah. When you're like changing the topic too.
Yeah, so, that's perfect. That's exactly what it is. It's just sort of like, let's come back to what we were talking about. But I digress.
Okay, and the last word is it's a question about the word in Spanish, and I wonder. Well, I think we talked about this before. I just wonder. It wasn't clear to me if you knew the meaning, and I can tell you what it means, and I can give you a little bit of the background of that word. But the question is, do you know? I think you do, but if you can explain me what it means to you, the word gomas in Spanish.
Gomas. Yeah. So the way I've heard it used the most would either be like, I'm not sure what the literal translation is, but the way I've heard it used the most is a way to talk about tires on a car,
right.
Or a woman has gomas.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know what it actually means, like what una goma is, but is a goma also like, can you also describe someone as una goma? Like, if someone's like,
right. Yeah, and I wanted
to, if they're like lazy or something, or maybe like not that, like una goma.
No, I wanted to kind of explain it and expand a little bit, just because then I can make a little clip and if somebody's looking for the meaning. So there are three meanings of the word goma. So the one, like you were saying, is referred to a woman's breast. So they could be used in that context. And gomas is also tire, a car's tire.
Right.
Why? Because they call them gomas because the material that is made is rubber.
Okay. Right? That's what goma is rubber.
Yeah.
Okay.
So another context for the word goma is an eraser. Okay. Because it's made out of rubber or type of a rubbery type of material. So that's a goma. I'm using a goma to, it's like an eraser in it. And so then it can also be used within the context of referring to somebody who is kind of one of those goofy, clunky. I guess clunky will be the best word will be clunky. Somebody who is sort of an idiot who makes mistakes and then laugh about those mistakes. Those people who fall on the ground and they go, like, and they're falling all the time. They're clunky. They're dropping things. So that's what a goma is. And that's a term that it was introduced in the early to mid 1990s by a TV show called Video Match, which it was a show hosted by Marcelo Tinelli, and he used to work with a lot of other journalists and comedians, and they will play a lot of hidden cameras and a lot of bloopers. A lot of videos with bloopers on that show, and he will just narrate the bloopers. And he will say, "Oh, this goma is, walking his dog, and he was looking at his phone, and now he fell inside a big bucket of water. What a goma, He will say, and here's another goma going to a bar, trying to pick up on a girl, and then he falls off the chair, stuff like that." So it was the term was what meant goma means that somebody can use a hammer in their head, and the hammer will bounce, because gomas never break. The gomas always fall, but they never break anything, because they're so used to being stupid that they're like invincible in a way. Not invincible, but anyway, that's
Y decime si estoy equivocado, pero goma también se puede referir a un condón, ¿no? Como una goma, ¿o no? Porque
no, but there's another thing that, again, I can do a cut here and then go back.
Yeah, cut that part out. Yeah,
we'll see how the explanation means. It goes. If it's too over 18, I wouldn't. I will cut it out. But anyway, no, goma means your manly part.
So not what you put on it, just the thing.
Right. Yes.
Because
yes.
I was curious, because we don't use it in the U.S., but in England, a rubber. Like
rubber, right? Yeah,
rubber is a condom, and so I didn't know if I feel like I've heard something about gomas, which
right.
In my mind, I thought was like condoms,
right.
But I didn't know if that was also.
No. There is a very, 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 very popular expression in Argentina. This is like very popular, and this is among friends, or sometimes it slips off on a TV show too. But there is a phrase: "Tírame la goma" o "me tiran la goma," and that means, what that. I think that what that means.
Yeah.
Typically, a lady will do that to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I entiendo. Interesting.
That's a very popular. So I'm pretty sure that if you heard an expression, it will be "me tiro la goma" or "me tira la goma" or "que te tire la goma" or "hacete tirar la goma." So there's so many expressions that's what it means. So.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, you gotta do the more you know now. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but
there you go. Again.
That's really funny. So yeah, gomas. I've definitely heard that word quite a bit. La gomas.
Right.
And I knew it could be used to describe a person, but I didn't know it was necessarily like someone who. I just knew like someone being a goma was not a good thing. Like it wasn't a compliment.
Right.
So.
No, I mean, a goma in that context could be used. No, it's not a bad word. If somebody, you can say to a friend, you can say, "Oh, I was such a goma the other day. I did this and that," So it's kind of fun. I was so silly, or I was, you know what I mean? So it's not a bad word.
Okay, yeah. That's interesting. It's just sort of a playful tease.
Yes.
But All right. Well, I think I will save, in the sake of time, I will save the two things I have for next class.
Okay.
But I think some of the stuff you brought up today was excellent, because I think they're great things for people who are trying to add a little variety to their English without sounding so formal or something. But like, I digress, excellent, and to no avail is also, those are two that are really, really useful. Some of the other ones, like transubstantiation stuff, I don't think you'll really use unless you're really trying to show off to a Catholic friend. You're like, hey, I know what transubstantiation is. I'm trying to remember what else we went over, but yeah. But I'd be curious, when you practice, and maybe run and talk to Dustin and Ruben about it, see what they think. But kind of pronouncing the R's with more
R's, right?
Like a lazy jaw, we'll say, sort of the burger, really very
burger.
Yeah, something like, just, you don't even need the touching your teeth, but just, yeah. So that would be my homework for you. Would be to try that, see what you think.
Yeah, the R makes a big difference, because there's so many R's in the English language that if you pronounce all of your R's correctly, then you'll be closer to sound native. But you have to pronounce them all.
Well, and I think too that this, even just beyond the R, sometimes doing this sort of like relaxed kind of thing is a good thing to sound more native, like with buddies. I feel like when I'm with them, or like even, like if I'm talking to someone like at a store or something, be like, hey, how are you? Yeah, I'm doing good. Like, yeah, another day. Like, it's sort of this like flat, playful thing, but you're not like, hey, I'm great. Like, it's really good to see you. It's sort of this more like, yeah. Like, I really appreciate it. I'll take a hamburger, please. Yeah, that's great. All right. Have a good day. It's just like, I think you'd sound more native in that sense of just sort of like, and you don't have to be like, yeah, I'll take a hamburger. And this is a pirata. But that would be my advice. I think try it out, see what you think. And if you think it sounds too bad, then we'll go back to something else. But
okay. So let me ask you a question. But if you can expand a little bit on your answer.
Yeah.
This is a kind of a colo question. So tell me what do you think about the trailer for our channel? Did you like it?
I thought it was excellent. Because I don't have the mind for filmmaking or editing or anything like that. Like, to me, when we're filming that, I was like, I don't know how this is going to turn out. And then you see that, you're like, wow, like, I should have trusted him. So it's pretty cool. I like it a lot, and it's well done. So baby.
Did you find something funny on it? Do you think it was funny? Do you think like, did you see our chemistry together, stuff like that?
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I'll have to go back and rewatch it because it was a few days ago. But yeah, no, I think we nailed it. Natural. So
it's so funny because first of all, I had so much trouble with sound. There were some takes I couldn't use, and that was my mistake, because I should have brought a deaf cat.
Yeah, the deaf cat, right?
Yeah, I should have brought one of those, so I know for next time, or my next filming. But yeah, I remember when we were shooting it, and I was telling you, don't worry about it, I'll edit it. So don't worry about it. Yeah. And I remember you trusting me on that, and I said, oh, okay. And it was so pleasing for me to edit, because I liked it. It could have been better if we had better sound, and that's my fault. But yeah, I was so excited for you to watch it, because like you were saying, not having the editing mind,
right,
and watching it felt more like really well scripted, and it felt like we practiced it many times.
It wasn't just 10 minutes in the park. So.
And it was really improvised. We just improvised it, what to say, how to say it. but when you edit it, it feels more like, so I'm very pleased.
I think the pronunciation is good on both sides, so that's a good marketing marketing thing. If we didn't pronounce things well, probably wouldn't be as creditable. We'll say people would be like, "Oh, why would I learn language with these people?" But yeah, so it's
nice.
Well done.
All right.
But yeah, I'm gonna get going for tonight.
Yes.
But it was good, and I was excited to talk again because I felt like, I mean, obviously it was great seeing you in Vermont, but I was like, I felt so scatterbrained, we say, like just like because we had like just traveled there and I was seeing people that I hadn't seen in months, and then seeing you in person. It was just like, so I didn't think my Spanish was great that day, but it was just like there was a lot of stuff going on, so I felt better today, like more normal, more relaxed. So hopefully that showed.
I had a great time. So what was your first impression of seeing me in human meat right there with you?
Well, it was just funny because I was waiting, outside Skinny Pancake, and it was just one of the things of like all of a sudden I would see Ben, like this guy that I've talked to for months, but yeah, that you've never seen in person, and it was just like there he was, it was like that's him. I know who he is, but I've never truly like met him in person. And then coming up and just being like, "Vos sos Latino?" I should have been Argentino. "Vos sos Argentino? Hablas español?" Yeah, it was pretty funny. So
yeah, oh, it's cool to see you too, see you in person.
Yeah, like I said though, I wish I had spoken a little bit better, but there was a lot going on because it just happened so quickly, everything where they were like, okay, like COVID's kind of passed for a little bit so we can have a graduation. And you like showed up, and then I was talking with people that I hadn't seen in 16 months or whatever, and you're trying to tell them about your life and what you're doing and where you're working, and it's like, okay, bye, like, and then you're meeting other people. It was just, so let alone thinking in another language, I was like, whew.
Yeah. Something I noticed is like was a little bit surprising to me and not surprising at the same time, because I understand camera lenses, but you look in person more in shape, because what happens is like wide angle lenses, like any phone lens or any webcam, it really equalizes people, makes them look more of the same shape because of the way that the lens is built. So I thought that in person you look more in shape, and I look fatter in person. So I was wondering if you noticed, oh my God, this is Ben. I thought he was skinnier, and then you saw this big gut, and I was like,
not at all. No, I didn't. I don't think you're fat. I think you underestimate what fat means in the United States, because we are the masters of fat, and you're not there. So don't worry about that. But yeah. But all right. Hi,
my friend. Have a wonderful night. So nice talking to you. I look forward to the meeting.
I will talk to you again soon, and I look forward to it. So que tengas una linda noche y un abrazo.
Perfecto. Dale. Nos vemos pronto.
Adiós. Bye bye.